They went to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasants Perspective. And Pony Boy is on top. Good morning.
Yes.
John Atakis, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Glad you guys made it. Oh, my goodness, Ron. It's Friday. I'm so happy for Friday. This has been a really busy week for me, and it's going to be a busy weekend, too. I got to go to the Republican booth at the Viking Fest. I've got something else tomorrow morning. Oh, yeah, Tom, our Bitcoin expert, is going to be doing a Bitcoin preview for our Bitcoin class at 1776 Live. Got to go check it out. It's going to be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific, live on the 1776 Live Rumble channel. And maybe Lisa can put that in the chats if she's listening. But tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, live on the 1776. I should probably just pull it up. Make sure.
I just started typing. Friday, 10 a.m.
Yep, Friday, 10 a.m. No, Saturday.
Oh, damn it.
Saturday, 10 a.m. Oh, isn't that great? 1776 live.us Rumble channel. So 1776 live.us Rumble channel. Tom is going to be doing his Bitcoin preview. So make sure you go follow that channel and be there for that tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. For those of you who want more information on Bitcoin and how that works, it's going to be really good. It'll probably be about an hour and a half, something like that. And let's see. Oh, I'm doing a January 6th town hall on Friday or on Sunday, actually. I'll go ahead and give you guys the location for that. Let me grab it. Give me just a second. I should have been better prepared for this one.
I'm just over here typing.
Let's see. So Sunday is our live town hall. Here's the event right here for those of you that may or may not be interested. Make that go smaller. All right. So there's our live town hall event. It is May 17th, and you've got to go register for that. It's up on the screen. What really happened? Come and hear the other side. You're going to have myself, John Cameron. You're going to have a couple other people. Jared Sessler. He's a candidate for Congress in Washington 4th, and Joanne Tolentino. She was a J6 attendee, and she's running for office up in King County as well. So anyways, it should be really good. It's going to be moderated by Glenn Morgan. Yeah. Isn't that exciting? Glenn Morgan. It's probably the most famous Washington state podcaster, host of We the Govern channel. That's kind of fun. I'm actually going to be sitting with him at the Lincoln Day dinner here coming up pretty soon. Look at me. I'm all involved politically. It's so much fun. How great is that? All right. I know why you guys piled on in here early. Look, that's mostly you chatting there, Ron. Let's see. What do we get? Scroll back up there in the chat so I can make sure I say hello to everybody. Okay. So we got Mataizo. Hello. Shantini. Good morning, peasants. Glad you're here. Pray the Rosary Daily. Happy Friday. Carlitos. Hello. Hello. Let's see. Carlito and Tiffany. Howdy from the tube. I don't know where the tube is. Okay, that's fun. Carlito, we'll be here. We'll be there for the Bitcoin class on Saturday. Awesome. So glad to hear that.
It's from the YouTube.
Oh, from the YouTube. The tube. Okay. I know why you guys show up bright and early to hear all the promos for the weekend. No, you're here for the simultaneous sip. And all you need for that is a cup or a mug, a glass, a tankard, a chalice, a stein, a canteen, jug or flask. A vessel of any kind will work just fine. I like coffee, and join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better, the simultaneous sip.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
Thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So
Just
it's a big
talking.
issue. And we take
And what are you going to do about it? Well, we just have to acknowledge that prices have gone up and it hurts people. And dude, I cannot believe she almost became president. Like it is. They didn't even run a primary. They just picked her. Like
my
she was the reason Joe Biden didn't get 25th Amendment. People were like, I'll stick with the auto pen. Thank you very much. Like, she's so bad. Oh, she's so bad. Maria Salazar. No, that's not correct. Not Maria Salazar. Maria Corina Machado down from Venezuela. Now she was the Nobel Prize Peace winner who gave kind of a lot of credit to Donald Trump. And obviously after Donald Trump pulled out Nicolas Maduro, a lot of people thought she would roll into Venezuela and reestablish the country. Instead, Donald Trump did what is proving to be the wise move, leave the government in place, hold them over a barrel and be like, give us your oil and your gold or else, and let some political prisoners go. And apparently things have been going fairly well down in Venezuela. So well, in fact, that Donald Trump has floated the idea of making them the 51st state. He even thought maybe he should just run for president down in Venezuela. He says, the people down there love me. So Maria was on with Aaron Burnett, and Aaron Burnett was asking her about this. Like, it's a huge slight. Like, can you believe Donald Trump would do this? This is worth listening to. It's one of those deals where just like after 9/11, the whole world was kind of shifting a little bit. Like something new was in the air. We were getting ready for a 20-year debacle in the Middle East and a lot of money printing and instability and stuff like that. But this is another one of those eras, this Trump term, these first 2 years, where the whole world order is kind of shifting quite a bit. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago when they were putting out rewards for Maduro's capture and we were having, city apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado taken over by Trende Agua gang members, to all of a sudden be like, hey, why don't we just make Venezuela the 51st state? It's total turn of events here.
But Trump keeps talking about Venezuela as the 51st state. I just mentioned that social media post that he posted with the 51st state and the map of Venezuela. He also talked about this in detail earlier this week to a Fox News reporter who was really a bit taken aback by it. How do you even respond to that?
Well, I know President Trump really likes Venezuela, and for good reasons. It is a beautiful country, but most of all, of wonderful people. But I'm sure he's going to love it even better when we have a country that is free, prosperous, and democratic, and turns into the strongest ally in the Americas, because we're located in the heart of the Americas. And look, Aaron, from every perspective, for the American people and for the Venezuelan people, a transition to democracy is a win-win solution.
But when Trump said to the Fox News reporter, quote, I'm very serious about this, so you can talk about this. I'm serious about beginning a process to make Venezuela the 51st state. You do not take him seriously.
Well, I think he's sending a message to many people and decides, and certainly to the regime. I mean, the Venezuelan people, value, appreciate, share the values of the American people. We are decisive to be a strong ally, and I think it is in terms of legacy. Imagine what this will mean for the U.S. government and for your country, Erin. For the first time, we will have, once we move towards democracy and Venezuela is free, Cuba will follow, Nicaragua will follow. We will have for the first time in the history of this continent, the Americans free of communism and dictatorship. This is huge.
All right, Maria Corina Machado, thank you very much.
Dude, how crazy would it be if Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, what if they all became states?
Oh, man.
Dude, it would be it's not outside the realm of possibility. You know, we started out as 13 states, Ron. We started out as 13 states.
I know, and the country has grown over time. I know it could happen. It just does. It seems weird.
It does seem weird. The United States is the only nation on the planet that wins wars and doesn't take territory. You know what I mean? Like,
it made me start thinking though, like, how many people did they have? What's their tax base? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people in America that would move down there.
Oh,
the people that speak Spanish as a first language would be like, hey, that's going to be our new home state.
It might be the new Idaho.
It might be the new Idaho.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I'm getting out of this place.
I'm getting out of this place. I'm going down to Venezuela for some jungle and anaconda.
Freedom's still free.
Yeah, I loved living in Brazil. I think that it would be pretty cool to try out Venezuela. Not that I, looking to go anywhere right away if it's not Florida. Okay, today the FBI and our partners extradited the highest ranking members of Trende Agua ever brought to justice, Jose Enrique Martinez Flores, aka Shuki. This is from the FBI Director Kash Patel. Flores just arrived in Houston from Colombia this evening. This is the first time that a TDA member has been charged with terrorism-related crimes and has been extradited to the U.S. History made pursuant to President Trump's executive order last summer designated Trende Agua as a foreign terrorist organization. Flores is charged with providing material support to TDA, a designated terrorist organization, as well as with international drug distribution conspiracy. He is scheduled to make his federal court appearance Friday morning. So that's kind of interesting. When I was in prison, I met a handful of Trende Agua gang members. And then, of course, a lot of the Hispanics knew the Trende Agua guys pretty well.
Yeah, sure.
And I've said this before, but they view their time here in the United States. They're not coming up here for economic opportunity. They don't want your roofing jobs. They're not here to pick almonds. They're not here to
start a family.
Pick strawberries. They're not here to start a family and look for a better opportunity. No, not at all. They are here on deployment, right? They are part of a gang. Some of them were recruited out of prisons or they're just members of the street came Trende Agua. That's, train of the river or whatever it means. Mm-hmm. And
they're troops.
They're troops. Exactly. They were sent up here to cause havoc, to take territory, to sell drugs, to do the bidding of the cartel.
They're on a mission.
When they get caught, they keep their mouth shut. They get the free attorney, or they get a cartel provided attorney, depending on where they're at in the cogs. But they know, they're trained. You just don't ever tell them anything. Don't say anything. Go do your time. We'll take care of your family. And when you're done, you'll get another assignment. Maybe this time we'll head to Europe or something like that.
Kind of like if you're a POW, the only thing you can remember is your name and rank and badge number. But these guys can't remember any of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though they have like Trende Agua tattooed on them and stuff like that. Right. I always found that funny is like the guys that had Venezuela tattooed on them, or, it's like, God, it just gives you away.
Or MS-13 across their face.
So MS-13 stopped promoting tattoos for that very reason.
Exactly.
They started recruiting young kids with no tattoos and then said, don't get tattoos because then you can fit in with the almond pickers. Anyways, pretty interesting. Carlene says we need to make Puerto Rico and Guam states too. I don't know that Guam is big enough to be a state. That's like bringing on another Rhode Island. That's just
Aren't they already a territory?
Yeah, they're a territory, but that's like bringing on another Rhode Island that's going to have 2 senators. That's going to dilute California senators, But Puerto Rico definitely could be a state. Puerto Rico's got a pretty decent population. Yeah. You talk about the impact of Donald Trump. That's one of those things. It's like, wow, Louisiana Purchase type big.
I know.
Okay, so another thing that happened down in another thing that's been going on around town is in Illinois, there's been a little bit of problem with keeping track of criminals.
It works out to 8% of the people on electronic monitoring in the pretrial program in Cook County in Chicago who are unaccounted for. Even the state's attorney says we should all be deeply concerned. This is the same system that was ignored by Lawrence Reed, a career violent criminal with 72 arrests. His ankle monitor showed that he'd been out all night twice and was violating his curfew on November 17th of last year when police say he boarded Chicago's L train and set a complete stranger, Bethany McGee, on fire. This is the same ankle monitor system that was ignored by 26-year-old Alfonso Talley. Records show he'd been in trouble for all of his adult life. He disregarded his curfew to the point that he didn't get home to charge the battery and the ankle monitor went dead. Police say on April 25th, he went on a crime spree that ended with a mother of 3, pistol whip with a broken nose, 1 police officer dead, another fighting for his life. 3,048 people were released pre-trial on electronic monitoring. Almost 20% of them are charged with violent crimes. 7% aggravated battery, 4% criminal sexual assault, 0.8% charged with murder, and 246 of them cannot be found.
Not only are they missing, they have no idea where they're at. None. Zero. They don't know if we're in the state of Illinois. They have no idea where these individuals are. So think about that. I mean, it's not like they could just go out and start looking for them. Like they have no clue.
The system alerts on a low battery or curfew violation. After 48 hours, a judge can be notified, and that judge can issue an arrest warrant. But any sheriff's deputy will tell you there are thousands of warrants in the system. Without an alert on a specific individual, they get lost in the pile. But the Cook County chief judge did tell a local reporter yesterday that law enforcement is actively searching for the people who are at large.
We have a list of people we're missing, so we're actively searching for them,
Okay.
whatever that looks like.
I feel so much better.
Oh, man. So I have a friend who works with a company that does ankle monitors and blow and goes, court-ordered stuff that you have to install.
Okay.
So I was talking to him when I was on pre-trial. He was like, do you have an ankle monitor? I was like, no, thank goodness I don't, right? And he goes, oh, yeah. I mean, it actually, this is how he said it works. Okay. So the company makes money when you have an ankle monitor, and they pay the county for that contract. So it's like one of those, they get paid, but then they pay back. Like there's a kickback. It's not called a kickback, but there's a.
So it's kind of like the flock cameras.
There's a rebate of some sort. So there's a flow of money. They get money from the court, and then a certain percentage of that money goes back to the law enforcement officers or whatever. I don't think it goes back to the court. I think it goes to the police department to pay for their end of the monitoring or something.
Sure, they're sharing the proceeds.
Yeah, they're sharing the proceeds. And I could be wrong exactly about the mechanisms of that, but I mean, I would call it a kickback of some sort. So if their people are incarcerated, there's no ankle monitor. There's no money flow. Okay. If they're out and there's an ankle monitor, there's money flow. Yeah. So if somebody violates, like say they go outside and they're not allowed to go outside, or they go outside the geographic zone, what is the incentive to bring them in? There's no incentive. And so a lot of the reports, he says internally in their office, they'll look at them and then we're not going to send that one on. Yeah. Or they'll send it on and the guy on the other side's like, oh, we're not going to do anything about it, because then he would go in and it would end the contract for the ankle monitor. So it becomes like this weird little deal where it's like there's money involved going to a certain place if they're on the outside. And when they violate it, nobody wants to enforce it. And he says, same thing with the blow and goes. Like, they'll have times where they'll have someone that's blowing in with like alcohol, and they get like a picture every time the blow and go happens. And he's like, they don't do anything about it.
No, I'll bet they're on the other end. They're like, keep trying, come on. And they're all like placing bets. Come on.
You can do it. So there's like this weird carrot and stick incentive with the way the money flows there, that they don't turn people in, except for in the most egregious offenses. And even sometimes those don't get turned in.
I was just thinking, you know what we could do? We could start some poly market things.
The blow goes with the live feed. Will he pass? Will he fail? Will he pass? Will he fail? Oh man, I had a buddy who had a blow and go in it, and so I drove his truck a couple times. So he had to sit and give me the tutorial on how to do it. It's. I guess you have to get used to it, but it's kind of harder than you think. It was pitiful because his son would drive the truck. His son's a teenager, right? And his son would have to blow into the blow and go to get the truck to start. And once you're driving, like 5 minutes into driving, while driving, you have to blow in it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's like a verification blow once the vehicle's in motion.
That's just training.
Dude, it's so funny. All right. So this is Representative Knott, and he is grilling the Fairfax County prosecutor. The Fairfax County prosecutor, or the United States Attorney up in Fairfax County, Virginia, he let a child, a predator, he let a child rapist go, dropped a case. This is a really interesting exchange. I want you guys to listen to this. This just kind of goes to the upside down nature of our judicial system when the law is not being followed and the ethical norms and guidelines aren't being followed either.
It could not sentence this person to any term over 2 years. Is that not correct?
Sir, I'm so glad you brought this to.
Okay, so the guy, this child predator, took a plea deal that this Commonwealth Attorney Descano, he put into the plea deal that the maximum amount of time this guy could serve was 2 years.
Is that not correct?
Well, because I would like to explain, sir.
It is correct. And the court rejected it.
Sir, I know
This
the
was
case file.
I'm talking. It was a judge that was appointed by Senator Warner. This is not a right-wing judge. This is a liberal judge. And you know why he rejected it?
Sir,
he saw what you should have seen. He cited overwhelming evidence.
So can we talk about the evidence,
This person was a threat.
I know it and you don't.
Quit talking.
And I would love to tell you about it.
This person was a threat. He yanked a 4-year-old girl out of her bed with the intent to harm her. And you wanted to give her a cap of 2 years.
Sir, this is a great example.
And then when the plea agreement was rejected, what did you do?
Sir, this is a great example.
What did you do?
This is a great example of a case.
You know, I prosecuted. I prosecuted
and then
cases.
You understand.
And when you're evading like that, you know what that's a
sir.
sign of? Guilt. What did you do? Sir, you dismissed the case.
Sir, can I please
Mr.
talk to you
Miyares,
about this case
when you
if you want to know about it so
be
much?
Be quiet. When you dismiss a case, what happens to that defendant?
He walks free.
Walks free. A disgusting, perverted individual preying on children that you dismissed the case. As the father of 2 young girls, one of them's 5. That is as painful as anything I have seen. Quit defending the indefensible. You clearly don't.
Absolutely
You dismissed the case, and it's shameful.
Sir,
you're a coward. You are a coward.
He dismissed the case instead of letting it go to trial.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I'd have about the same words for that guy.
So they also brought in the sheriff that had to release the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Who actually wrote a memo basically being like, I don't want to do this, but I have a court order. I'm being ordered to release him. And Jim Jordan grills her. He's like, could you stop her from being released? Anybody who thinks that your functionaries inside government, your sheriffs, your police deputies, your jailers can do anything other than what the court says, that's one of those great examples where she's like, everything in my head is screaming, don't let this guy go. And I have to let her go. Like they're going to do whatever the judge says, who's basically, in a lot of times, kind of in cahoots with the prosecutor too.
Well, I mean, think about it for 2 seconds. I mean, if the sheriff or the deputy does something against a court order, what do you think is going to happen to him?
Then they get dragged in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so James Comey was talking about this very thing, how frustrating it must be at the FBI and other law enforcement because they're forced to like let criminals go, you know? So there's like a lot of deep lack of morale. Hopefully you can sense the irony in this setup here.
Do you still talk to employees at the FBI regularly?
I do.
And what are they afraid to be talking to you?
Yes. Matter of fact, they're under siege. And
how is he allowed to talk?
I think about them a lot. I worry about them a lot. Both those who are still there and those who've been thrown out while loved ones are sick, while they're struggling financially.
Who cares? Who cares?
How is he allowed to talk to anybody at the FBI? Just like how is Obama allowed to open his freaking trap? Just shut the hell up and go off into the sunset.
Dude,
you know?
Seriously.
A lot of pain at the FBI and the FBI community right now, but it's not going to last forever.
Do you still talk to?
It's not going to last forever. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just thought that was funny. It's like, here's James Comey. Do you still talk to people at the FBI? Well, of course I do. I mean, how do you think I get my inside info?
Well, yeah, right.
How do you think I stay a step ahead of my prosecutors? It's like, good gravy. Here's another one. This is Representative Barry Moore. He's up there with Andy Ogles. And you guys might remember Barry Moore was indicted. Do you remember this? He was indicted and Donald Trump had to kind of come in to save the day on this one. So he talks about exactly how that looks like. This is the James Comey FBI. This is the Robert Mueller FBI. This is the Christopher Wray FBI. When people like Ron Paul years ago said, I don't think the FBI exists for any reason other than to produce blackmail, right? It's basically just the government's domestic spying arm. And once they have you, they use the information they get as leverage.
I'd like to introduce Congressman Barry Moore. Thank you, Andy, for hosting this. And, really the punishment is the process. Even if they don't find anything wrong, the process to quieten the dissenters within government. My story is a little different. I was indicted. I actually, the 2 top conservatives in Alabama were indicted by a former federal prosecutor. And the deal was if you cut a deal and walk away from your political office, if you would stop the fight, the persecution would go away. And my team of attorneys called my house and said, hey, Barry, and these are high-paid attorneys. If I told you the names, you'd know who they were. They said, we think you should just cut a deal. You should walk away. I hung up the phone with my high-paid attorneys and walked over to the carport. My 12-year-old son, Andy, was standing there. And I said, buddy, if we don't get out of politics, they're going to destroy us personally. They're going to destroy us financially. They're going to destroy us politically. My son said, Dad, I've been reading the book of Daniel. He said, when all those men bowed, there were men who stood. We made a decision that day as a family. We would win that race and we would win that case. And we won that race and we won that case. But it's like Andy says, what they put your family through to quieten the people who do not want to stand against the system itself it's unbelievable. And we need to bring attention to it. And you guys in the media need to understand that we need a blind justice system. Instead of trying to find a man and to go look for a crime, they need to find a crime and investigate the crime. But the process is to quieten anybody who will not go along. So as we're in the fight, what Andy goes through, what Perry, what many of these people on this stage have went through, it's a message to the media. It's a message to our country that they are truly undermining the true blind justice in this country. And so we need to speak out. And Andy, thank you for hosting this. And I appreciate everybody being here. God bless you. With that, I'll introduce Senator Ron Johnson.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Cut a deal, go free, just leave, just get out of politics, stop the fight. I said this to my attorney one time. I said, well, I get this. The process is the punishment. And he kind of laughed and he's like, yeah, it really is. Now, that was when we were thinking maybe there would be a plea deal or something like that, right? That would be reasonable. Yeah. But hearing him say that, right, he's just a little old representative from Alabama. He's not someone that's national stage, but clearly he's in the fight. If I were Tim Burkhart, if I were any number of these individuals that seem to fight the deep state or bring awareness, I'd be super concerned. What do you got for us, Ron?
Oh, man, I just clicked the button. Dude.
All right, let me play this here. This is Morgan Freeman, and this is an example of how the DOJ and the FBI will use the process as a continuing punishment, and it has a residual effect. This is Morgan Freeman. Guy's in like every show ever. He's got one of the most iconic voices in America. And he's on MS Now talking like this was serious.
Well, we have somebody sitting in the White House who's leading us down a shithole. I can't personally understand how a convicted felon, 34 felonious, is that word? Counts of wrongdoing gets to be president. How do you do that? When you say, well, he was camped, I don't care. That ruling went down before he stepped into the Oval Office. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
Come on, Morgan. That's bullshit.
So do you think that Morgan Freeman believes it?
No.
Do you think he just hates Trump because he's got TDS? Do you think that there's something about his life that he wants to keep a secret? Like what do you think that is there?
I don't know.
Do you think that's like, this is a guy who's never turned on Fox News ever once in his life? Is that what's going on here?
No, I think he was just asked or paid to say something.
You think so? You think he doesn't actually have an opinion? This is, hey, what you should, his publicist is like, hey, what you need to do is you need to go on.
If that's his actual opinion, he should just keep his mouth shut.
No kidding, right? All right, let's do one of these, Ron.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's see here.
Rumble Wallet.
Whoa. Yeah, that one. Okay. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own your own and control your own money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of bank holding your money, delaying transfers or limiting access, you're in control. And if you've ever heard, or if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started feels complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all the complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want, Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects you with MoonPay so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite creators like me directly. So do it now. Scan the QR code and click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. Boom.
Speaking of, Bitcoin is down this morning. It's down to 78,775. You know what's funny? Now that I'm like in Bitcoin and I'm holding long term and I don't need the money like tomorrow, you know, I get so excited when the price goes down because it's an opportunity to buy more. And I keep thinking about you peasants. It's like, yes, please, you guys, it's so fun. My cost base is low enough that there's really no drop now that's going to affect my cost basis.
Nice.
So I'm in the black no matter what. So yay. Like it's down. People can get in long term, man. There's no problem with it going up. It's so exciting. So definitely get involved in crypto if you're not just crypto, Bitcoin specifically. Okay, so Donald Trump on Air Force One flying back from China was asked about the embattled Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Take a listen to this.
Well, we were talking about Britain, but Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister there, is in a lot of trouble. I know you were asked about this.
Well, he's in trouble for two reasons, energy and immigration. He's very bad on energy. He should open up the North Sea. He's got a coal mine, and he should open up oil in the North Sea, and he doesn't. They have a tremendous value. You know, they buy their oil, a lot of it, from Norway. Norway gets it from the North Sea. Not as good an area as Scotland and the UK has. So they're paying Norway a fortune for oil that they take out of the North Sea.
Do you think Starmer's going to survive as Prime Minister?
A tough thing, unless he can straighten out immigration where he's weak. And if he doesn't start drilling and stop with the windmills all over the place that are causing havoc. They're causing havoc. Most expensive form of energy. They kill the birds. They're unsightly. They're ruining the landscape. If he doesn't stop with the windmills, he's got to do energy. He's got to open up the North Sea. You know, he's got one of the greatest oil finds anywhere in the world, and he's not using it. And I tell him that he's not using it.
Should he quit?
The oil companies call me every day. Please, we want to go to the North Sea. He doesn't allow it to happen.
Should he quit?
I don't say that. I think he's a nice man, actually. But, I mean, I didn't like when he said, we're going to send ships as soon as you're finished with the war. Well, we're sort of finished militarily, pretty much. But David, we finished probably 70-75%. And we didn't finish every one of the things. We'll go back and finish them off. And by the way, and more than that, you sort of...
So Keir Starmer, what's killing him, according to President Trump, is immigration and lack of energy.
Yeah.
So the windmill thing, the windmills are interesting. I saw this video in California. Apparently, what is it? The giant condor, the big vulture.
Yeah.
Right. Apparently its population is on the decline again. And you know how much, I mean, dude, the amount of money and stuff they spent to try to bring that population back from extinction is incredible. Well, you've got these big windmill areas out in California constantly growing. And of course, what do windmills do? It kills birds. So what do condors do? They eat dead things that are on the ground. So these condors are circling around the windmills and they look down and they see some dead bird and they fly down and then boom. I saw a video where condors are, what do they got? Like 8-9 foot wingspans.
Yes.
They are ginormous birds. And it's coming in and you can tell it's circling around a windmill and then it gets through the blade one time. Comes again for the second time, whack, down to the ground, totally dead. People run over, pick up the bird. The bird's,
I saw a video recently of a guy that was trying to make baskets behind one of these windmill blades, and he kept hitting the blade with the ball, and it was like, holy smokes, that freaking ball just was like, pew, pew, gone.
Yeah, those blades are moving, man. They're big and they look like they're moving slow, but they're not moving slow at all.
No.
So Donald Trump also sat down with Sean Hannity talking about, it's kind of a post-China trip interview. And we got an oil and gas deal out of China. I am just more impressed every time Trump makes these moves. These are like long-term real things. China is a buyer of energy. They have a very difficult time creating their own energy and a sufficient food supply for their people. They do not have the best land in that country. They've got some critical minerals, some, not everything, but they don't have really good farmland and they don't have any energy reserves. They've got some coal, but dirty coal, right?
Yep.
Not the nice, clean clean coal like here in America.
They get a lot of their oil, 40% of their oil from that location. So what has happened, and one thing I think that we're going to make a deal on, they've agreed they want to buy oil from the United States. They're going to go to Texas. We're going to start sending Chinese ships to Texas and to Louisiana and to Alaska. And I think that was another thing that was agreed to. That's a big thing.
What about liquefied
It's
natural
not that
gas?
much longer.
Gas too?
Yeah, everything. Energy.
Energy.
That's the one thing they really need, energy. That's the one thing. They have an insatiable appetite for energy, and we have unlimited energy. You know, we've now under me, but we now produce more than if you combine Saudi Arabia and before the war, if you took Saudi Arabia, Russia, put them together, we're doing twice as much oil and gas as they are. Think of that. Amazing. You know what that was? It's called drill, baby, drill, right?
Drill, baby, drill. It's interesting with the confluence of Bitcoin and energy being the largest producer of energy by laws of nature. We're probably going to be the largest holders of Bitcoin as a nation ourselves. So jumping back over again to England, talking about Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer put out this video about the Unite the Kingdom rally. And the Unite the Kingdom rally was put on by a couple different factions, but it was led by Tommy Robinson. This right here, right? This is the kind of politics that the constituency that Keir Starmer is talking to is an ever-waning constituency, and it's a manufactured constituency. This is the Reddit crowd. This is the blue sky crowd. This is the crowd of people that really have nothing in the game. They're not producing anything, right? This is your cubicle crowd at best. Okay. At best. When you hear stuff like this to me is like, how does a politician ever get away with this?
Tomorrow's march in London is a reminder of what we're up against in the battle of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists, are peddling hatred and division. Plain and simple. Their goal is to convince people that Britain's problems are caused by those living alongside them. But that is not the Britain that I know. This is a country built on decency, fairness and respect. A country that is at its best when people from different backgrounds come together in common purpose. This is our country, with a majority who share those values, a majority who may not always be as loud, but must always define who we are. So my government will not stand in the way of peaceful protest, but we will act decisively against hatred. We will use the full force of the law when that hatred manifests as violence. And we will ban those coming into the UK who seek to stir it up, as we have done already. Because this country belongs to all of us. And I will not tolerate anyone who seeks to stand in the way of that.
I noticed in the entire video, there was not one Islamist person in the video. But that's the only constituency he's talking to. And that's the people that were people when he says, well, people living next door that don't share. Dude, you've got a polygamist Islamist that wants young daughters, right? Like the stuff that comes out of England is shocking. That video right there, how that guy maintains any power in that nation is stunning to me. Other than he's talking to the Islamic community, and the Islamic community is laughing at him like, yeah, go ahead. Keep doing that. Keep your population suppressed so that we can take over. And that's exactly what they intend to do. Isn't that stunning? That is stunning, man. Talk about weaponizing whatever virtue you have, whatever soft heart you have for your good old Christian values or whatever. He's pulling on those threads to have you self-cannibalize your nation, to just destroy your nation. And we have the same thing going on here in the United States. Scott Jennings was on with whatever Caitlin Collins or whatever her name is here on CNN. And they have this woman from the South. What is her name? Her name is, she's just listed as a liberal. Okay. So this liberal woman who's talking about the voting rights and blacks their vote being suppressed. And Scott Jennings kind of calls it right here. He's like, who's being suppressed. Name one black person that's not allowed to vote. But these are the kind of tropes that get used against the conservatives and legacy Americans and people who just want the system to function, right? Like just the system to function, and how your virtue gets weaponized against you by calling you a racist and everything under the sun.
I was born black. I'll be black all my life. I don't want to hear anybody say that the Republican Party has not gone out of its way to keep people who look like me away from the ballot box, because it's painfully untrue. It is something that has been charged in the courts time after time, decade after decade, particularly across the South where the largest concentration of black people live. So we've seen those in Georgia. We've seen it in Texas. We've seen it. Well, those states are not led by Democrats, first and foremost. I let you talk. Would you please let me finish? Thank you very much. Beyond that, we have to be very serious about the concentration and the erosion of civil rights across this country. And yes, that also proceeds with voting rights. The erosion of the Voting Rights Act has been done holistically by the Republican Party. What we've seen from Donald Trump is someone who wants to and continues to try to expand his power by the most illegal means. So yes, those orders were challenged. Those orders were challenged in Venezuela because, quite frankly, there was no impetus to go there to begin with. What we do know is that more than likely, this was illegal. First and foremost, that's why he's trying to hide the videos.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, has anyone ever personally tried to stop you from voting? Answer, no. Number two,
I vote anyway. I don't vote in the South.
Number three in this country, I hate to remind you of our history, but it was the Democratic Party that tried to suppress black votes in this country, not the Republican Party.
I would love to remind you that when the Jim Crow laws were eroded, they were eroded by the Democratic Party, not by Republicans who tried to hoist them up and tried to continually re-enter Jim Crow in the modern era.
I think you need to reread your civil rights history. The Democratic Party doesn't have a clean record on this, but the bottom line is Democrats are going to continue to be ruthless. They're going to continue to try to gerrymander. They're going to continue to try to say the president's delivering illegal orders to mess up our military. Who knows what they'll do in Washington from here on out. But the bottom line is Republicans tonight didn't do this redistricting. Democrats are going to keep doing it. And if you're looking for who the most ruthless partisan players are, the Democratic Party.
I was born black.
Where do her and Morgan Freeman get their information?
I don't know.
I'd love to scroll through their algorithm, their feed, and see where this is coming from. The idea that the Republicans have tried to block blacks from voting, never, ever. That's never, ever been the case. Like, Republicans, to their credit, often are colorblind. And it also is what blinds them to, they get blindsided by this stuff. Mm-hmm. The worst thing you can call a Republican is racist because they're not. Right. So then you put them on their back foot to try to defend themselves. And then they run scared about racism. They're just not.
Maybe they're just watching The View or something. I don't know.
The amount of psyoping that the Democrat Party gets away with in the black community is something on another level. Like, the idea, she doesn't even live in the South. And she's like, Republicans are trying to stop blacks from voting. What? Like, no, it's the Democrats that have consistently tried to stop you from voting. And your little minority majority districts, why do so many of the minority majority districts have white guys as the head?
Maybe you should have asked her a question about the SLPC or whatever that organization.
SPLC? Yeah. How do you feel about the SPLC paying for the KKK?
Right.
Wow. SPLC is a right-wing organization, Ron. Clearly, that's what you would say. Oh, my goodness. Martin Easel says a small town in China is 5 million. Yeah, I know. It's like they pack them in there tight. Okay, so Kristen Welkel was asking J.D. Vance why it is that the Republicans feel the need to do this redistricting. And J.D. Vance had a pretty good answer for it.
President Trump's agenda is so popular. Why do Republicans need to add additional seats to the map?
Okay. Break that down for a second.
What?
If Donald Trump's agenda is so popular, why would you need to do any redistricting at all? Why would it even be a thing? If it's so popular, why would you need to do that? What is the... When you see these districts for Democrats that are like the Finger Lakes running across to Illinois, right? The reason is because you rig the game in the way you gerrymander.
We're just going to do it on general principle. How about that?
A general principle? Yeah. I'd like to just have quadrants. Like, it should just be take the square footage, divide by whatever, but you can't because it's by the vote. It should be, they should be geographic areas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what am
closer aligned with county boundaries, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't know.
So she goes, how cool would that be if every county, well, no, because it's apportioned. So you couldn't really do it like every county gets 2 reps. No, you couldn't really do it. You have to apportion it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why a lot of these red districts look huge. It's because it's a lot of farmland across the country or a lot of mountain ranges. But then in these little cities, you can have, like AOC's districts, like this little dot. It's densely populated area. But where you see these problems is where you see a city that's densely populated, and you see the
but then it reaches out like 400 miles.
Like the one in Virginia. You go up to I think that
goes all the way across the whole state.
Yeah, it's like the city's got 3 congressional districts that then suck up all the farmland.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts. Okay, so continuing on here. If Donald Trump's agenda is so popular, why do you need the redistrict at all?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Kristen, you have to ask yourself, why have Democrats gerrymandered their states aggressively over the past 10 to 20 years? If you look for...
That's a good question. Why would the Democrats have to do that? Why would the Democrats want to gerrymander?
Especially if they were so popular.
Yeah. I mean, if socialism's so great, why don't you just leave it as is? I mean...
For example, at the popular vote in a lot of these states and Massachusetts, where 32% of the residents of Massachusetts voted for Republicans, 0 Republican federal representatives. So we're not trying to all we're doing, frankly, is trying to make the situation a little bit more fair on a national scale. The Democrats have gerrymandered their states really aggressively. We think there are opportunities to push back against that, and that's really all we're doing.
It makes sense to me. Like that, the premise of that question, though, is like, why are you punching us when we're down?
Right.
Because our policies are popular.
Because it's fair and balanced.
And the gerrymandering is one of the ways that things get rigged. So, this is Marco Rubio. So the 2 leading candidates for the Republican side in 2028 are Marco Rubio and JD Vance. Now, apparently these guys are best friends in the White House. They talk quite a bit. They're kind of in the same age group. And Donald Trump has, put the hand of favor on JD Vance from time to time, and he puts the hand of favor on Marco Rubio from time to time. And I don't think Donald Trump wants to see a rivalry, but he kind of, being the kingmaker that he is, he's kind of setting up a potential rivalry. So as we get closer to 2028, it'll be interesting to see which one of these 2 guys takes the lead. I think a Vance-Rubio ticket or a Rubio-Vance ticket, as far as Republicans are concerned, would be dang near unstoppable. But who's going to be at the top of that ticket? So as of these first 2 years, Marco Rubio has definitely been in the limelight more because we've had a lot of international stuff. Obviously, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, that's all JD Vance's.
Well, I mean, remember, every time that something came up with Trump, and he'd be like, well, who's going to handle that? Rubio.
Yeah, well, Rubio, right? So he's had a real prime role here in the first 2 years.
Yeah. But
now JD Vance's fraud task force is starting to really make some waves. He had that big town hall rally in Maine yesterday, which, by the way, they said you got to vote for Susan Collins. And he goes, even though I disagree with Susan Collins and I wish she was sometimes more partisan, you got to vote for her over the Democrats, because at least we get her votes 95% of the time. She actually votes more with the Republicans than Thomas Massey did.
Isn't it refreshing to have a conversation about, look how much Marco Rubio can do, and look how much Vance can do, and man, let's see who can do the best job, and let's see who can be the best leader in the future. This is great.
And they're both amazing communicators.
Yeah.
Compared to that, to the beginning of the show, the simultaneous sip video with Kamala Harris. Inflation is when things get more expensive. And one thing we know about inflation is it affects everybody. And what are you going to do about it? We're going to talk about it. So that's the other side, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, they could run John Fetterman, but then again, I don't know that he's up for the job either. So this is Marco Rubio communicating about affordability and the conflict in Iran and how that affects prices, and how Donald Trump has said it doesn't matter. Like, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Marco Rubio articulates this very well.
Did he make a mistake when he told a reporter that America's financial situation isn't playing, quote, even a little bit of a role in his motivations to make a deal with Iran?
No, I think what the president is claiming is that Iran's not going to use that as leverage.
Doesn't that sound out of
us.
touch, though? I mean, Americans are spending so much for gas.
Because I think what the president is making clear is that we're not going to let Iran use that as leverage. Think about what the Iranians are thinking. The Iranians, and they watch this. Remember, there's no free press. There is no you in Iran, right? There is no press in Iran that can criticize the regime or say, create any pressure on them. And I think what the president's making clear is if the Iranians think that they are going to, use our domestic politics to pressure him into a bad deal, that's not going to happen. We've taken extraordinary measures to keep gas prices lower than they are in some other parts of the world, and it will go down. Those straits will be open, and we will see those prices go down. And actually, I think you're going to see a dramatic reduction in oil over time because all of that pent-up oil that's being held hostage by Iran, once that reaches the marketplace, it'll have a very positive impact. But I would also say there's a price attached to a nuclear Iran. If Iran ever acquires a nuclear weapon, they will immediately... What would stop them from controlling the straits then? And then forget about it being a 3-month or a 6-month problem. It could be a permanent one.
Exactly. These guys get it, right? And they understand there's certain things. This is where America has lacked a backbone. Since Vietnam, I mean, the ability just to Korea, even if you go study the Korean War, why didn't we win that thing? Like, it's still going on. Okay. Why did we win? Because we lacked a backbone. I was listening to someone earlier saying after World War II, the United States could have conquered half the world. We had nuclear weapons. We literally could have expanded our territory, and by conquest or just simply by saying, hey, this country, Mexico, you're now United States. This country, you're now United States. We could have walked across half the globe and just taken anything and everything we wanted. Instead, we did the whole Bretton Woods thing, and we decided to use the British colonial model and control everything through money.
We wanted to play nice.
Create all these client states, right? Because our virtue was weaponized against us.
Exactly.
As soon as the Soviets got a nuclear weapon, they breathed a sigh of relief, right? So, okay, they're not going to take us over. I mean, literally, the nuclear weapon. This is the part of U.S. history that you really got to give credit to the Americans for not taking over the world, because any other country in 1945, any other country of the 190 countries that existed at that point, name anyone. If Belarus had discovered a nuclear weapon, they would own the entire Asian continent. Okay. It wouldn't matter what country it was. Switzerland would have finally decided to become a conquering nation and taken over all of Europe and Russia had they had a nuclear weapon. So the United States has been really good about not conquesting. All of our expansion has been Manifest Destiny, the Louisiana Purchase, the Oregon, we've purchased it. Like, we bought Alaska from the Russians. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't go and do nukes and guns. But ever since the Korean War, the United States has had the lack of backbone to really flex up, because we've already won. Like, we have nuclear weapons. So if we want to win in Korea, we could win any moment we wanted to. So then it becomes, what is the cost of victory? And this is where our leaders have been completely feckless. What is the cost of victory? If you spend too much money and spend too much blood and treasure, then there's a domestic cost. If you end up using a nuclear weapon, then there's a domestic cost. And now in a world where others have nuclear weapons, the price might be a little bit too high, because that chicken might come home to roost, right? And so American politicians and presidents, while they flex their muscle one way or another, they've lacked strategic desire to win, because the cost of winning is too high. I mean, look at Jimmy Carter. He gave away the Panama Canal for $1. Why would you do that with a strategic asset like that? Right? But the cost of winning, the cost of being the bully. Like, we've already won because we've got nukes. Our borders are secure, sort of, right? Until they figured out that they could just walk in this country and destroy us from within, like a bad termite colony. So J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and Donald Trump and the rest of his cabinet, they understand that you have to win. You have to use the tools. You have to win. Scott Bessent as well. So going after Iran right now, I understand it is really hard affordability wise. Oil is we're probably going to see some significant inflation, which Donald Trump's going to deny is even happening, right? But we're probably going to see some significant inflation from now to the end of the year because of this oil problem, because it raises the prices on everything. And across the world, there's more demand for these goods, which is also going to make the goods more scarce, right? So I think it's going to be a problem for them going into the midterms. Even though I agree with the mission, and I completely agree there. Like, if Iran got the nuclear weapon, they could close the strait themselves and charge a toll and have the same effect.
Well, we focus on the oil, but the oil is a precursor for everything else China makes. So pretty soon, everything else will be
more expensive,
and unavailable.
Go for it, Ron. We got a coffee ad.
Yeah, let's do it. Pew. Talking about some 1775 coffee. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. I can't believe there's only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits hard, the smooth, medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom coffee for clean energy, laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear is yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wonder if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Pew.
Awesome. Yesterday, I watched a Mark Victor Hansen. It was a longer video he had talking about how China views America and how China has basically walked over every one of our leaders since George H.W. Bush. They have just taken advantage of. They knew that America wasn't going to do anything. They would, use a sanction on one company. China's like, okay, great, use a different company. Like, they have total command and control. They can dodge sanctions. They can manipulate things as easily as we can manipulate things. But Trump comes in and he just starts taking chess pieces off the board. Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, the Panama Canal. He shores up the North Sea, goes after Greenland. And so China is they respect strength, right? They're looking at Donald Trump, and in the first term, they fought him, but now they realize there's a huge sea change happening in America. They thought America was totally on the decline. And with Donald Trump, however, you're looking at $17 trillion of investment into the United States. We close the border, right? All these things are happening, and China respects that. And they want to be a rival, and they believe that they need the competition in order to succeed. They need us to develop stuff so they can steal it, is what it boils down to. And so when Donald Trump did things like China still is generations behind NVIDIA and some of our chip manufacturers, generations behind. Like, it's not something they're going to be able to replicate. And their entire mercantilist model centers around this silicone stuff. And so when Donald Trump brought the NVIDIA president there and he walked in, if you notice, when he walked off the airplane, who was directly behind Donald Trump?
I didn't see.
Jason from NVIDIA. The guy that, like, literally, when Donald Trump said early in his term, when he said, you can't sell NVIDIA chips to China, that was an economic nuclear weapon in China. That brought China to the table. And so the Chinese, their perspective was last time, he wants a trade deal. We're going to run him out of office. We've got our little ace in the hole, Venezuela, with those election machines, right? Well, now that is kind of taken off the table. And so they cut a deal with Trump, and I think we're going to get a really big deal. So Donald Trump also, he says the thing that the Chinese and everyone else wants to deny is happening. He says, yeah, they spy on us, but we spy on them.
And she asked me a question. Yeah. She's talked about China, this and that they steal this and they steal that. And I said, yeah, we do it to them too. They spy on us. I said, we spy on them too, I guess, So some people thought that was cute. Other people said, you don't have to say that. I said, I sort of do. No, we do things and they do things, and that's the way it is. Now, with that being said, I like the candidness of this, to not pretend like our hands are clean. Yeah, no, we spy on them. I mean, we're looking for our shot too. Yeah. Like, we're rival nations. Hello.
What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, don't pretend like we don't.
I'm very strongly about them, and I'd like to see it taken care of. But they've been doing that for 50 years.
We see a change. In other words, will there be an improvement with trade?
Fentanyl is way down. And she asked me a question.
Yeah, one of the other big things was fentanyl. So talking to Xi directly about fentanyl. Now, this comes up every time they talk and every negotiation we have is you've got to stop sending precursors through Mexico for fentanyl. And Mark Victor Hansen pointed out that in the last couple of years, 600,000 Americans have died from fentanyl. That's more than all the soldiers we lost in every war we fought in the last century.
Oof.
And so that's all. And when you start, like when they started keeping track of that, the fentanyl deaths, it's been shocking to
660,000.
600,000.
Okay. But that's still almost 2%.
Yeah. Tomas Day, you said you can find a PDF free online from the author's master thesis. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing there. Huh?
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing there, but I'm sure it's important because it's coming from you. So you're going to have to give me a little more context on that. So that's a really big deal. Like they've got to stop sending the fentanyl. If we get a positive trade deal and our relationship with China is such that they need us and we don't need them as much, it could be a healthy relationship. Where it's an unhealthy relationship because of the nature of our politics with presidents changing over 4 years and elected representatives changing over every couple of years. If we need them, it's bad for politics to do anything to counteract any of their malign actions. So we need to get to a point where we don't need them, but they need us. And then I think the world will be a much fairer place. You know what I'm saying? Because if we need them, they're going to use that, and they don't play fair. They're a communist country. They're not going to play fair. In their ethical guidelines, it's not like the contract is the law. No. Mao said all political power comes at the end of a barrel of a gun, not from a contract.
Not playing fair is fair.
Yeah, not playing fair is fair, don't you know? Donald Trump understands that. His world in business, Manhattan real estate, is a cutthroat game, and he understands you either win or you lose. You either get the deal or you don't. So he said this because when Chairman Xi had mentioned that America was in decline, this kind of caused a lot of stir. How do you dare you say America is in decline? Hello, our president says that. President Xi very elegantly referred to the United States as perhaps being a declining nation. He was referring to the tremendous damage we suffered during the 4 years of sleepy Joe Biden and the administration and the Biden administration. On that score, he was 100% correct. Our country suffered immeasurably with open borders, high taxes, transgender for everyone, men and women's sports, DEI, horrible trade deals, rampant crime, and much more. Mark Victor Hansen mentioned that the DEI in America is 100% the result of a Chinese psyop on us and in Europe. Really? It originates from them. They used DEI in Chao's Cultural Revolution to get control of the country. They've eliminated it completely. They are a meritocracy. Like you either do a good job or you don't to move up.
I thought our CIA invented it.
No, it is right out of the playbook of what Chairman Mao used in the Cultural Revolution. So they seeded it here in the United States, literally to destroy our meritocracy.
Okay.
But they have adopted meritocracy with their economic model now.
But then our three-letter agencies were like, hey, this is a great thing. We can use this.
They've seeded it. They've worked through the Cubans. That's the other thing, right? We learned from Patrick Byrne yesterday in the private side. We learned from Patrick Byrne the CIA had a lot to do with Fidel Castro's rise in power. And so, yeah, the CIA is rogue, man. What did JFK said? I'll break them into 1,000 pieces and scatter them to the wind. And then a couple of weeks later, he took a couple bullets to the body. You know what I mean? Not one bullet that took a magic curve and came back in the other side. He got shot at least twice. Okay. President Xi was not referring to the incredible rise in the United States has displayed to the world during the 16 spectacular months of the Trump administration, which includes all-time high stock markets, another all-time high yesterday, and 401ks. If there's any evidence that the big print is on and money is flooding into our country, it's that right there. That will lead to inflation, period. Like, it's great. Your stock market's at an all-time high. It's mopping up the liquidity of dollar bills that are flooding into our country. Military victory and thriving relationship in Venezuela. The military decimation of Iran, to be continued. Strongest military on earth by far. Economic powerhouse again, with a record $18 trillion being invested into the United States by others. Best U.S. job market in history, with more people working in the United States right now than ever before. Ending country-destroying DEI, and so many other things that it would be impossible to readily list. In fact, President Xi congratulated me on so many tremendous successes in a short period of time. 2 years ago, we were, in fact, a nation in decline. On that, I fully agree with President Xi. But now, the United States is the hottest nation anywhere in the world, and hopefully our relationship with China will be stronger and better than ever before.
Sounds like President Xi agrees with that too.
He linked a book about how Bitcoin can eliminate kinetic war when you were talking about nukes. Tomas, it maybe it zapped it, the post, because I had a link. No, when Ron goes to the ads, it drops the chats. So if you posted it and I didn't catch it, I just didn't see it, but maybe it's still in there. Post it again and we'll see it. Yeah, Bitcoin is for enemies. Bitcoin levels the playing field for absolute certainty. So another thing that happened yesterday is Donald Trump had a lawsuit with the IRS for $10 billion for the illegal leaking of his tax returns. And he has agreed. This is from ABC News. It was reported broadly. Trump is expected to drop his $10 billion IRS suit in exchange for the creation of a $1.7 billion fund for victims of governmental weaponization. I'm on that list. That's pretty awesome. I like to hear that a lot. And what do we mean by weaponized government? Well, there were people directly involved with different incidents that happened. For example, the January 6th debacle that I got wrapped up in. Mm-hmm. I made my bed. I'll sleep in it. Why can't I see the thread? Hold on a second here. What's going on? Can't see the thread. Oh, here it is. Okay, so 2013, former Capitol Hill Police Assistant Chief Sean Gallagher. So he's one of the ones in that whistleblower deal that they published the other day that was involved with getting promoted after January 6th. Mm-hmm. He was then a USCP Capitol captain, was found guilty of forgery and embezzlement of department funds in a payroll scheme. So what he was doing was he was clocking overtime hours. The guys weren't working, and then he was splitting it with them. So he was embezzling back the overtime. Sources informed us that he will be taking the position as the number 2 in charge of security at the World Bank in D.C.
What?
Coming right on the heels of our blockbuster revelation yesterday, I've just confirmed through multiple Capitol Police sources of this most recent development in the upwardly mobile career arc of this notorious Capitol Hill police leader and key figure in the January 6th stuff. From my March 2024 article about the egregiously criminal behavior of Gallagher, you can learn how his internal affairs investigation resulted in a recommendation for his termination. The offense is egregious. This is from the Capitol Hill report. And absent any mitigating factors warrants nothing less than termination. This offense was willfully frequent, occurring on 8 occasions. Captain Gallagher misrepresented his times, forged his supervisor's signature on overtime authorization forms, falsified pay certification sheets, and forged his supervisor's signature on pay certification sheets to defraud the government for significant personal gain. Termination didn't happen. He only received a 10-day suspension, and just 2 years later was promoted to inspector, after which he continued in his rise up the command ladder at Capitol Police, eventually serving as assistant chief and a couple of days of acting chief after the departure of Chief Thomas Manager. So now the guy who was found guilty of forgery and theft of government funds has been appointed to the number 2 head of security at the World Bank. You simply can't make this stuff up. You got that other gal that went on to the CIA after being the first one to fire shots and may or may not be the pipe bomber. It feels just like the former Assistant Chief Yogananda Pittman's job well done reward as Chief of Police at UC Berkeley. Crime does seem to pay in D.C. if you're working for the right people. Hannah reports, and I are not going to stop despite our DDoS attack on our website, job termination, and deep state-funded lawsuit to shut us up. Please consider helping us to continue this battle. And if you're interested in that, definitely go to Steve Baker's site and make a donation because they are doing the Lord's work for sure. Another person who just pled guilty to embezzlement, to money laundering and tax fraud is Dana Williamson. Now, who's Dana Williamson? Newsom's chief of staff from 2022 to 2024. She appeared in a Sacramento court to plead guilty to counts of conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, subscribing to a false tax return and making false statements. She's accused of being the ringleader for a plan to siphon $225,000 from a dormant campaign account belonging to Xavier Becerra, who's also running for governor, who is a leading candidate for governor to pay for her own personal expenses. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of California, Williamson was charged with a 23-count federal indictment alleging conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, defrauding the United States, obstructing justice, filing of false tax returns, and lying with authorities. Williamson also allegedly claimed personal expenses as business deductions, including thousands on Chanel and Fendi bags an HVAC unit for her home, and even a $150,000 trip to Mexico for her birthday.
Hey.
Sean McCluskey, Beshear's former chief of staff, and lobbyist Greg Campbell also pleaded guilty to charges related to the thefts. It is one big club, and you ain't in it.
For sure.
You know, it's so crazy how we go around trying to dot our I's and cross our T's. And when you're in government like that, talk about crime paying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you hear that representative from Alabama saying, you know, they indict you and they just want you to walk away, take the deal and go.
Mm-hmm.
When it's real crime, it goes unprosecuted under Democrats. When it's fake crime, it gets prosecuted. And Donald Trump is obviously changing the course of all of this stuff by going after fraudsters, going after these people that actually did commit these crimes. It's pretty interesting. So one of the other things too, and we talk about this when we refer to Bitcoin quite a bit, is the non-scarcity of assets like gold and silver, which, you know, again, I have to say this a million times. I've been a huge fan of silver, a huge fan of gold. My attitude has changed markedly over the last 6-7 months, because I see why those assets are not the world reserve currency right now. One of the reasons is they're not scarce, right? So if you think gold's going to be there for you, yeah, compared to the big print, it's better. But now that you have Bitcoin as an option, it's a better option because it's built-in scarcity. So as silver rose in value last year, which was very good for me, I mentioned yesterday they found that that deep mine. That mine's not in Colorado; it's in Mexico, by the way. It doesn't matter though. 50,000 meters of drilling told Silver Dollar where to look. The 2006 drill program at La Jolla is underway, targeting deeper, high-grade silver mineralization, and this could change how the project is valued. Drills are turning, and it's a huge venture. So here's where they're out drilling for mine. And this is silver, from what I understand. Look at those rods they're pulling out.
This looks like a test well.
No, what they do is they drill down. And then the silver comes up in the pipes. So it's like a well. So the silver comes up already pre-core drilled. So what he's pulling out of there, he's on that sheet. Those are all silver that they've mined super deep. So rather than doing big open surface mining, they just drill hole after hole down into the silver core, and they just pull it up through the pipes. So it's really efficient. And at $85 an ounce, they make a lot of money doing this. And that's apparently the price point they had to be. So as the world uses silver, they're supplying it. And they've got an unbelievable resource there, like an unbelievable amount of silver. So it just goes to show, right? Anything that is not scarce will become cheaper. Now, another thing that is going to become less and less scarce is labor. Anything that you can do, a robot soon will be able to do better. Anything that you can think, AI and large language models will soon be able to think faster. And so
we're almost obsolete.
We're almost obsolete. We're almost obsolete as human beings. In fact, there's a company called Reflex Robotics that is releasing the first robot made for bachelors.
Meet the robot designed for bachelors, built by the New York-based company Reflex Robotics. This machine can handle your daily routine at home. It wakes you up on time and gets your day started. While you get ready for work, it can prepare your breakfast. It also takes care of household chores with ease. In the evening, it can make dinner and help you relax. The robot moves on a 4-wheel base, making it stable and easy to move around. Its upper body is humanoid, with a head and arms to perform different tasks. It is mounted on a vertical mast that can move up and down, so it can adjust its height based on the work. Meet the robot designed for a bachelor.
I need one of those. I need one of those scooting around my house. It's making bed, peeling bananas, making a smoothie, making dinner, putting the dishes away. Wow. I didn't play it yesterday because it actually was very boring, but they did an 8+ hour stream of a different version of a robot on an assembly line, flipping packages over for a conveyor belt, which apparently like Amazon has people that all they do is put the packages, as they come down this tumbler, right side. Like they just literally stand there all day long and flip packages over.
Well, when you get your UPS package or your Amazon package or whatever on your doorstep, somebody put it in that box. I mean, it had to happen somehow.
Yeah, so they had this robot for an 8-hour shift just doing it. And it was about the speed of a human. I mean, it wasn't like wildly fast, but it would grab the package, flip it over, grab another package, flip it over. It would fall the wrong way and grab it again, flip it over. And it just kept putting stuff on this conveyor belt for delivery. And it's like, well, I mean, that thing basically you could plug it in and it could just work indefinitely.
Yeah, that's the video that I was telling you about. Maybe this is a different one, but I was watching one just like that where they had a guy that was trying to disrupt the robot and keep him from being able to complete the task. Like he had a stick and he was just like poking it in there in between him and the package and the stuff they were trying to put in. And the robot was just like, just kept working away until he finally got it.
Oh man. I want a robot to weed my acre. I want a robot that's out there that knows the difference between a dandelion and a tulip.
Well,
and just can do
unfortunately, if you're an early adopter, I think these robots are pretty pricey, so you might need to wait a minute.
So Elon's talking about bringing them out at about $20,000, which
that's what I'm talking about. Wait till the lawnmowers cost $1,000.
What do you mean?
Just wait till the price comes down.
Oh, I think that's an incredibly cheap price to replace human labor. I mean, I spend.
It is cheap. It is cheap.
I lose more than $20,000 a year in doing chores around the house.
Oh, sure.
Based on my level of productivity.
Sure, but it won't be long before these things come way down in price, and everybody will have them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
They'll be like Roombas. They'll be everywhere.
Okay, so we have some other really good news on the Bitcoin front. The Clarity Act is in front of the Senate, and it passed out of committee yesterday. They are moving fast now. Like,
buy your Bitcoin quick, folks.
Yeah, seriously. Where are we at right now? Let's see. Bitcoin's 78. Woo! Bargain basement prices. Got to do it. Uh-oh.
78? We're going to pause the show.
Hold on. Pause the show. Yeah, you're like, I'm going to go make a buy. All right, so this is Kevin O'Leary talking about what will happen to Bitcoin the moment that Clarity Act is signed into law.
I love the idea of innovation. The money center banks have been sitting on their hands for years, crapping on the crypto industry, but it's not about Bitcoin. Nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's digital payment systems. That's the potential. That's the amazing opportunity we have here. Now, the reason that will be important and why we'll get price appreciation on Bitcoin is the minute that happens, it will signal the move to the next act, the Market Infrastructure Act. And
that's the Clarity Act.
Why that matters to everybody in this room is we will finally determine, is Bitcoin a commodity or a security? And when that is determined and regulated, Katie bar the doors, $1 trillion will come and index that asset. Let's all hope that happens while we're all alive here. Anyway.
And it's happening now. That speech was given a while ago. So the names of the acts. Bitcoin was declared a commodity. That's where we wanted it to be, which means we can buy and sell it. Securities, it becomes a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. So it was a commodity. That was the Genius Act. And now we have the Clarity Act. The author of the Bitcoin Standard, Safadine Amos, he said this, and I kind of agree with him. I don't know about the dollar amount, but he says, if Bitcoin is worth $200,000, do not sell it and buy dollars. Because if Bitcoin is at $200,000, the dollar is very close to its grave. Mm. So this is what we mean by that. People like Senator Warren, who have literally become the banking senator. Like, she represents big banks and their desire to control the financial system through a form of CBDCs. She said this in the committee hearing. And if she says this, I think we all need to take it pretty serious.
When this blows up the economy, I hope everybody remembers.
Mr. Chairman.
So when it blows up the economy. So when the economy becomes the golden age, Ron, I hope everybody remembers this moment. Obviously, she was trying to say that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency would destroy the economy, but I'm glad she used the word blow up because it does have the potential to really blow up the economy.
So both of these clips back to back, this is really interesting that you played these back to back because they're both right. And I'm nervous that when Bitcoin does hit, 200 or 250 or 300 or whatever it is, whatever the tipping point is, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren. She's not wrong. It is going to blow up. The dollar will become worthless. And my fear is that most of America is going to be left out in the cold on this. I mean, probably 300 million people are going to be left out in the cold grabbing the scraps.
If you think of Bitcoin like a tech stock, yeah, No, there will, at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million a coin.
So
a lot of people are going to be left out in the cold.
It is going to be a commodity, but for this moment in time, it will act like a security for about 3 months, 3 to 6 months. It's going to feel like a security. When it shifts, it's
going to be big.
It's going to be big, and the dollar value is going to plummet like immediately, just to zero.
Which is going to look like things become more expensive.
Yes.
So if you're an asset holder, it's going to look like you're getting rich.
Yes.
If you're trying to buy assets, it's going to be unattainable.
Yes.
And with the rise of robots taking menial jobs, what are you going to do?
And this is going to catch everybody in the whole nation completely off guard. It
is going to catch people off guard. Now, oftentimes when you're studying this stuff, you just think like in 2009, 2010, 2011, the Jack Dorseys of the world are like, this is happening. Yeah, well, it's going to take 25, 30, 40 years. It's like the self-driving cars. We tested the first self-driving car 20 years ago, and now it's 1, 2, or 3% of the market. It takes time for this stuff to actually happen. People are slow to change. The internet wasn't adopted in a 2 or 3 year period. It took 15 years for everybody to really get online.
So my fear, though, is that this won't take 20 years. It's going to happen overnight, because when the new market is created, the only for that new market to survive is for it to continue on and to kill the other market.
What's going to happen is one day you're going to get a job and they're just going to say, we only pay in Bitcoin.
Yes.
And you're going to be like, oh, okay. Well, at that point, there's no more upside to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody has to accumulate. They're going to start spending because it becomes the currency.
That is what I'm talking about. Because at that point, though, everybody will have already lost the opportunity and Bitcoin will become a utility only.
Only they will already have lost the opportunity only to the extent that they won't get the upside appreciation.
Yes.
That I want people to understand that.
Yes.
A Bitcoin future is a good future. It's a future of peace and prosperity where bullets cannot resolve your problems.
Yes.
Negotiation has to resolve your problems. So it is a net positive, but yes, there will be losers in the economic system and there will be winners. But eventually everybody will transition over to this. And this is why Cynthia Loomis, who is the Bitcoin senator right now, has her little speech where she's countering what Elizabeth Warren is saying about all the ability for crypto to facilitate drugs and all the bad things that they've said forever. Mm-hmm. And she went through a list of things, how this is a law and order bill because it creates regulatory standards that then can be prosecuted rather than just selectively prosecuting people. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman that was on the Simply Bitcoin podcast that was talking about how Democrats used to be really, really, really pro crypto. Mm-hmm. And their guy, Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX, was the Bitcoin guy, right? Mm-hmm. And altruistic investing because he was so rich with all of his Bitcoin. And he was the largest donor to Democrats. Turned out he was a big scam, Ponzi scheme fraudster. Yeah. And so they had to turn and they became anti-crypto to kind of save face. But they're not really anti-crypto, okay? But they're anti-crypto to save face. And Elizabeth Warren, I think she really drinks the
I
Kool-Aid.
thought they were just covering up their tracks from all the scams that they were running around it.
And that's why they have to turn face really hard. So this is Cynthia Loomis describing the power of Bitcoin as far as sovereignty of money. This is why, guys. This is why Bitcoin over everything else. It's not a tech stock. Yeah, buy it cheap, get the upside 100x, 400x over the next 5 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. We have a once in a species opportunity to be on the ground floor for something. I mean, this is incredible. But the long-term advantage of this.
Yeah, once we get past that hump.
Yes. What this really represents is what Cynthia Loomis describes here.
It is a pro-law enforcement bill. Mm-hmm. And it's also a pro-consumer bill. Consumers can now transmit money between them faster and cheaper than they can now. It provides a level playing field regardless of whether you live in Rwanda or Queens, New York, about transmitting money faster and cheaper. It provides a woman who's trying to get out of a battered, miserable marriage the opportunity to walk away with her money in her head. It provides people who are being tortured in foreign countries the opportunity to walk away from that country with their money in their head, because Bitcoin can be memorized. This is a pro-law.
Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
You can't take it. From a battered woman walking away from a bad relationship to a refugee crossing a border. Bitcoin is the first asset ever that can't actually be taken from you, which is why it's so important to come to that live Rumble tomorrow at 10 a.m. and listen to Tomas stay here, talk about it, and then to get enrolled in our Bitcoin class, because it is the future. Whether you like it or not, Bitcoin is coming. Our governments are utilizing it. It de-incentivizes war. All the things we stand for and all the things we want as peasants, Bitcoin is the answer, right? Fix the money, fix the world. Senator Bernie Moreno was the first American to pay his taxes in Bitcoin. Did you know you could pay your taxes in Bitcoin?
No.
You could do it all the way since 2016.
Oh. Wow.
When people are like, Bitcoin's for criminals. Yeah, the government takes it all the time, right? They love taking your Bitcoin.
In 2016, I became the first person in the United States of America to pay my taxes in Bitcoin to show the capabilities of the technology. Had I met the senator from Rhode Island, I would not have done that, as I paid $3,000 in taxes with 2 Bitcoin. So I would absolutely be in a better spot had I not done that. So we should have met each other back then.
I do want to make a note that the $3,000 that you use for the Bitcoin would today be worth how much?
Too soon.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that point was clear.
Don't give your Bitcoin to the government, people. Don't give your Bitcoin to the government. Too soon. Too soon. 2 Bitcoin today would be $150,000. He paid a $3,000 tax bill in 2016 for 2 Bitcoin, which today would be worth $150,000+. Yeah. But Ron, when I said that you could pay your Bitcoin in taxes, you acted shocked. I didn't realize that you didn't know that.
Man, there's a lot I don't know.
So here's the thing. Let's say your salary is $70,000 a year and you buy half a Bitcoin for $40,000.
Yeah.
10 years from now, 0.5 Bitcoin is projected to be worth $5 million.
Oh, boy.
You just bought 71 years of your salary for $40,000. Bitcoin is time. And again, this Clarity Act is coming fast. Donald Trump has said he wants to sign on July 4th, July 4th, 2026, on our 250th year anniversary. Of all the things he's going to do for the 250th anniversary, signing into law the Clarity Act, making private custody of Bitcoin legal and not allowing any laws against it, almost like a constitutional amendment, is huge. There's a massive amount of significance to that. Here's what energy, let's see, I can't remember his name.
This will definitely be a bolded bullet point in all the history books.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very tricky year because we have a new Fed chair coming in the market. It's going to test that Fed chair. But once we get through that subsequent turbulence, we are probably entering, an 18 to 24-month period that might be one of the best we've ever seen in our life.
When it regards to Bitcoin, 18 to 24-month period might be the best we've ever seen in our lives, because all that institutional money, all that pent-up Wall Street money, all of it becomes institutionalized. A lot of it's going to flood into Bitcoin. The new Fed chair is going to lower interest rates. Okay, he's going to lower it because we're moving into a recession. All signs point to recession. We have to pay for the Biden economy. So all signs point to recession. So what do they always do? They turn on the money printer. They lower the interest rate. You can get cheaper money to buy houses, credit cards, cars. And the government, of course, pays less for their money. So they go on a spending spree. And that has a direct correlation to the value of Bitcoin. If you save your money in dollars, it will melt away. If you save your money in Bitcoin, it'll hold its value as the dollar decreases its purchasing value. It'll look like the value is going up, but reality is Bitcoin stays Bitcoin. The Trump family is all in on it. Just like the refugees who want to cross a border with the money in their head, or the battered wife who wants to get out of a relationship and keep her money in her head, right? The Trumps got debanked. I got debanked. From big to small, that is always on the table. And the Trump family is all in on Bitcoin for that very reason.
He did these things. The reason we got into crypto, and we're all in on crypto, and we're doing American Bitcoin, and we have World Liberty Finance and USD1, was because there was a time, and probably I'd been on this show, where I could call any single banker in New York City. They'd pick up the phone. I'd be able to get a loan for whatever real estate project I was doing across the street. Then we got into politics, and all of a sudden, they wouldn't take your call. You couldn't get financing. We were debanked. And what I realized, and my brother realized, because we were the recipients of every subpoena imaginable, was that, you know what, we were actually just the top of this sort of pyramid scheme that we didn't realize we were a part of, that the financial system was totally undemocratized because we had a certain balance sheet and whatever, we could kind of do whatever we wanted. The regular guy was messed up. Now we were all of a sudden in the shoes of the regular guy that wouldn't be able to take advantage of the markets. And we said, what's the solution for that? The answer is crypto. These decentralized platforms where you're not beholden to this, where you create efficiencies. As a guy that did real estate, why am I paying points in and out for title insurance that could be done on the blockchain? So we got into crypto, not because it was like, hey, this is the next cool thing. We got into it out of necessity. We got into it because we understood just how quickly we could be turned off, even as an incredible developer from New York City. I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that we didn't change the skylight of New York City, but that disappeared in an instant. I mean, we're getting sued by the New York State AG, $500 million fees for paying back loans on time with interest. These aren't, fair markets. There's nothing egalitarian about any of that. So we actually, as innovators, as people who understand these things, we went all in on a concept that makes total sense because we'd actually been the recipient of how quickly that can be shut off.
Our founding fathers were in a similar situation. Their wealth got taken by the British when they forced British script, the king's pound, on the colonies where we had been using colonial script. It is the reason why Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington, and many others, it is the tie that binded them all. They all had their, John Adams wanted, better law and order. George Washington got snubbed for an officer's position in the King's Army because he was an American, right? They all had the chip on their shoulder. But the thing that brought them together, to actually declare independence and eventually establish their own country was the money. It was the money. And so when you hear the Trumps say stuff like that, and there are other families that feel the same way, it is the money.
I thought it was really interesting how, normally in these shows, you get guys talking over each other, asking questions. They let him talk.
Yeah.
They just shut up and sat there and listened.
Yep. So here's Jason Huang in China being asked why he came to China. And when we jump over to private after this video, we're going to watch a video about silicone, and how it's made from quartz, and how the United States has the trump card on silicone. And so no matter where the chips are made, all the silicone comes from the United States, from one specific place. And the fact that he, the CEO of NVIDIA, was walking behind Donald Trump is a huge, huge symbolic signal to Chairman Xi and the Chinese that we, despite what you think about ripping off the Chinese or taking over China, all of that is dependent on a mine in North Carolina. So we're going to listen to Huang say why he was there in China.
Of course, and to come support President in one of the most important summits in human history. And the two presidents, President Xi and President Trump, have such a wonderful relationship. This is an incredible opportunity for us to rely on the relationships to build a much, much better partnership.
Yes. Did you get any specific customers for your chips for the H200?
We didn't really talk about. I'm here to support the president and to represent the United States.
What do you think of China's economic development right now?
I'm here to focus on one thing, just to represent the United States and supporting the president. Today's morning ceremony was very uplifting. President Xi was very inspiring, very welcoming. And President Trump was very inspiring, very welcoming as well. And so the two of them had an excellent meeting. Thank you.
Any regulatory?
I'm here to support the president in the United States. I'm here to support the president in the United States. Said on repeat.
Oh, say it again.
All right, guys, this was a great Friday episode. Thank you for joining us. Those of you that are on Rumble Premium, you can stick around for our private chat. And we are going to be watching a video about silicone. This was an incredible video. It's a longer video, so I don't want to play it on the public side. But if you're not a premium member, this is some of the great stuff you get in the private side. Bigfoot, real footage, UFOs, silicone, the deep state rig with Patrick Byrne, some really amazing stuff. So we're going to jump over to private and we're going to learn about how quartz means everything.